Hi, I'm Bob with Screen Printing on a Budget. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. One of the questions that I see on Reddit or on social media all the time is, do you use a push stroke or a pull stroke? Personally, I like a pull stroke. It makes it a lot more comfortable on my wrists. And at the end of a long printing session, I can definitely feel the difference. So I've gotten accustomed to doing a pull stroke. A lot of people swear by the push stroke. I think it's something that's just kind of personal for what works best for you and your setup. So I'm going to walk through a really quick demonstration of the situations where I actually change and go to a push stroke. And you'll see some significant differences in the output of this specific print. So hopefully it'll be helpful to you. Hopefully it'll be something that you can use, and thanks for stopping by and checking it out. Okay, so first of all, I just want to explain the difference between what is meant by a push and a pull. So a pull stroke is when I'm pulling the ink towards me. So I'm going to flood it, and then I'm going to use the squeegee. I'm going to push down on the squeegee, and I'm going to pull the squeegee toward me, which is going to put the ink on the shirt. So that's a pull stroke, and a push stroke is when I'm pushing the ink through, and I'm pushing. This particular squeegee is pretty soft and flimsy. Someday I'll make a video about squeegee pressure or squeegees, but this is a pretty flexible, so this is really hard to use a push stroke. But when I'm using a push stroke, I'm going to push the squeegee away from me when I'm putting the ink deposit into the shirt. So that's the difference between a push and a pull. I'm sure most of you know that, but just in case you didn't know that. What is it that makes your what is it that makes your prints come out the best? And I think for everyone, it's there's some situations where it's just a matter of preference. For me personally, I am a little bit older, so my hands get sore, and for me, pulling the squeegee just makes it easier on my hands. At the end of the day, I'm a lot less sore, but there are situations where I will push. I know a lot of people swear by pushing that it's more ergonomic or whatever, but for me, pulling just seems to give me better results, and at the end of the day, my hands feel less tired and less sore the next day. So I'm just going to show really quickly what my situation is. Again, I prefer the pull stroke, but there are situations where I want to push because it will clear your screen a little bit better. So I'm going to do two prints. I'm going to do one where I am pulling the squeegee, and then I'm going to do one where I'm pushing the squeegee. This is white ink through a 200 mesh, so it's a little bit hard to get the ink through. This particular print is at a 200 mesh because it has some really fine details in it. So I had to go up with my mesh to 200, and it's white ink, so that makes it even harder usually. Typically, the white color ink is the hardest to work with as far as squeezing it through your screen. So I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to show you what that result looks like, and then I'm going to push it, which is what I did on this job. I just feel like when I'm pushing, I can put a little more pressure into it, and it will clear the screen just a little bit better, especially on a tougher job like white ink through a 200 mesh. So this one, and because it's white on a black shirt, I would print, then flash, then print. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do two passes of each just to show what the results look like, because the results are, I'm going to assume the results are going to be significantly different. So this first one, I'm going to pull, flooding my screen, a pull stroke, and I could see already that there's a few areas where the mesh just has not, the ink has not cleared the mesh. It doesn't look, it doesn't look terrible, but we'll see what it looks like with a push stroke. Okay, now on this shirt, which is the exact same shirt, I am going to use a push stroke. Flooding the screen, nice flood, and I'm going to push. Okay. And looking at it, I'm not sure if you can really see it on the camera, but looking at it, there's a pretty significant difference. So I'm flashing over there, So again, this is my pull stroke shirt. I don't know if you can see, but in this area where there's a little bit, it's a little bit heavier ink deposit, this thing is not coming out very cleanly because the ink is still stuck in the mesh. So overall, looking at it, it's not a terrible print. This is my pull stroke shirt. It's not a terrible print, but there are some areas where there could be a little bit better ink deposit. Come back, here's my push stroke shirt. Nice and flashed. Good flood. And it's just a much cleaner print. So I'm gonna cure these really quickly, and then I'll show you guys what these look like up close. So here's my prints side by side. This is the pull stroke, and this is the push stroke. Again, I really prefer a pull stroke when I'm working with almost every print that I do. The only exception is this specific print. This is a print, flash, print. So I did 2 strokes white, flashed it, and then 2 strokes of white again. And then the exact same process on this shirt, but this is with the push stroke. So pull stroke, push stroke. I don't know from this if you can really see the difference, but with the naked eye, there's a significant difference. And I'm gonna get you guys a little bit closer just so that you can see what, I think the details are very similar, but where you can really see a difference is in these patches of ink that are a little more solid. So I'm gonna get a close-up of those and show you guys why when I'm doing white ink on a black shirt or you know, just a print with a very high mesh count, I go to a push stroke. Okay, so again, this is my pull stroke, this is my push stroke. If you can see, and I'm not sure how well it comes out on camera, there's a little bit of black shirt poking through on this, and also there's a little more fibrillation, which is just a little bit of roughness in the print. I am not 100% sure that you can see this really well on camera, but there is a definite lack of quality of this. I would not be happy sending this shirt out. This shirt, however, it's a little more smooth. The print is smoother with this one that I push stroked. The details, I can't really see any difference. There's a lot of really fine details in this. These little areas here are just very small dots. The details seem to have come through with both prints just fine, but that's not really my concern. My concern is in these areas where there's bigger deposits of ink, like larger areas of ink, that this area of the head looks much better than this area. And it's not that it's detail, it's just that there's not a complete ink coverage. There's just little bits of fibers coming through, whereas on my push stroke, there's none of that. This is a really solid print. It looks great close up. The detail is there, and I just feel like this is, I wouldn't even say marginally better, I would say a significantly better print than with the pull stroke. Again, personally, I'm a big fan of the pull stroke. It feels better for me, but when I need detail and I need good coverage on white ink through a heavy mesh, I always go to a push stroke. Anyway, I know that doesn't really answer your question. I think it's just a feel, what feels better for you. When you get into printing and you print 100 shirts in an hour and a half, you're gonna know whether or not your hands feel better when you're doing a push stroke or a pull stroke. I think it's just a matter of preference. So anyway, I hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Anyway, have a great day and happy printing.